Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds. I'm Nerdarchy Dave, and I'm joined by this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted, how are you doing this fine and lovely evening, sir?
Good man. How are you tonight?
I'm good. And class must be in session because that's what we're here to talk about.
We are. I mean, the subjects class and character class is a huge part of the game,
Mm-hmm.
D&D, and also a bunch of other RPGs as well. But also, I think the more interesting avenue for classes kind of like socio-economical class in
Yeah,
your
your
world,
stats.
especially if you want to run different kinds of games and you want to get into politics in your games. I think that's in an interesting way. Like it's always like about the crats usually, and lords and ladies and nobles. But like, what if there was a labor movement in your game? Now, I'm sure that probably looks a little bit different in your traditional like Western medieval fantasy world where they just squash them, right? But what if something kept that from happening? Like, what if a huge part of your labor force were warforged, and they just and no one thought this through really well, and all of a sudden now like you got a bunch of angry golems essentially.
Yeah,
Like, you know what? We're not going to take this crap anymore.
yeah. I think the subject of class of status or rank gives you a lot of jumping off points. I mean, you could literally have where you could remove the noble background from the game, or maybe you allow it, but as part of the story, you've been cast out, and while you might have been brought up noble, you no longer are. And an element of the game, part of the challenge, is getting into places where you need status, you need rank to really get there. You need that class, and if you
Well,
ain't got it, you have to kind of struggle through those things and really find a way to get around or do something to get promoted so that you can gain some kind of status, some kind of class to get into it and then be able to solve your mystery.
from a player standpoint, like it could also be intriguing to have a character that's technically a noble, but which usually that entails like you're probably have a kind of a cushy life and things have kind of been easy and maybe everything's been given to you, but now you've been an adventurer for a little while. Maybe you've been in prison, enslaved. Maybe you've had a bunch of bad things happen to you. Maybe it's opened your perspective and you're able to better identify with others who you normally wouldn't have. Like you wouldn't have like been able to understand their plights and their problems. What do you mean you don't have enough food? Just go to the cupboard, get some more, go eat or whatever, right? But because now that you've been through those situations and those hardships, that you can kind of identify, so it's an opportunity for character growth too, especially if you play kind of like the bratty, snobby, entitled noble, and you transition from that to someone who becomes a little bit more worldly, who's seen suffering firsthand, either via witnessing it or actually having it done to them, and they've changed their perspective. Maybe like when they go back into those places that they're from, they don't identify with those people anymore. Maybe those people just make them nauseous now when listening to them talk, and and how fake they are, and having very little understanding of how the world really works.
Sure. I like those kinds of things, but it could also just as easily, the struggle outside the world is so hard that the familiarity of, even if it's fake, it's so much easier once you cross that line. Be like, you know what? Do I want to go back and live this, even if I understand how unrealistic and so disconnected it all is? It becomes a nice little, mental struggle for a character. And whether that's an NPC or a PC, that could be a cool crux moment of, what do you do? Um, Even before we kind of came up with the idea of class, I haven't played a noble type character, I think, in a long time, if ever. And I've been thinking about, like, okay, well, what would it be like if I played a noble character, like they usually have like 10 to 15 gold, that they get from their background. Like, what if you were like, look, I'm just gonna buy a whole bunch of stuff, and like you start the session off, and maybe you're not at home, maybe you're so used to having money that you go broke, and now you don't have a place to stay, or you don't have enough to actually afford your next meal. But because you're noble, you're so used to being able to do it, you can't bring yourself to ask someone else. So do you like slink outside? Do you like fall asleep in the tavern? Do what do you do with that situation? How do
Do
you
you
handle
demand that the innkeeper put you up? Don't you know who I am?
it? I mean, yeah, that's an avenue of thought as well. Like, so like there's so many different things of, oh well, what if I pull
Mm.
rank here? I could certainly pay you back. I don't have the coin with me, but as soon as I go back to my keep, or back to the stronghold, I can get it for you. I'll pay you 3 times as much. And then you could keep making those kinds of decisions, those kind of deals, which is great for getting yourself into trouble and leading to further issues and adventures. So, like, especially with the fact that there's a whole bunch of new campaigns that are getting ready to get started. We kind of talked about all these games wrapping up. That it could be like a real nice jumping off point, depending upon what kind of adventure we wind up going with.
I think you just described Wimpy from Popeye. I don't know if people watch us that are old enough to know that character, but
I'll
I'll
gladly pay
gladly.
you on Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And
Uh,
also,
I would.
Brian brings up Strix Haven and a lot of classes there, and I believe that's where the idea for this video kind of for this topic came from. That was kind of impetus because we were talking about Strixhaven. I believe Doug, said, "What about class?" I'm like, I like that one because there's a lot of different ways to look at it. Um, what? Oh, Strixhaven, you. I also have one here.
Oh no.
Um, we'll tell you
and
guys about that in a minute, I guess. But it just made me think of like, oh yeah, that's absolutely one way of looking at it. Character classes is another, and then what we've kind of been talking about is a third. So there's a lot of different directions to go in that. Um, I don't know. Should one of us add a Harry Potter teen high school drama kind of game to the options we're offering?
uh, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to like. I think my party is pretty dead set on you know the concept of we live on a boat.
I want to
Uh,
live on a boat, but we're all in school in the boat.
well, all right, you convince the rest of the people that that's what the game is going to be about, and somehow I'll work that in. We'll put some kind of NPC who's
It'll
who's
be the
teaching
sweet
you
life
guys
of
something.
Zach and Cody, man.
I don't know that show.
I know, because see, it's way after your time, but way before your kids' time. It was like a show that my son used to watch.
Okay.
The Sprouse twins. One of them's like a D&D head, and like he was making some headway into D&D space for a little bit.
Oh, cool. But like when we talk about Strixhaven and running classes, I mean, I guess it should be a kind of a jumping off point of some rule sets, whether it was optional rules or in the earlier editions. If you were going to go take another class, didn't you have to go get training of some sort? You couldn't just be like, oh yeah, now I'm this,
Yeah.
without having it do something to make sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, you used to have to train to level up. I mean, they kind of talk about it in 5e. We've always glossed over it,
Mhm.
and I think in earlier editions, like you had to like go and find someone to train you, and you had to pay for it. Like it was a whole thing.
That's but to have some kind of place of like, oh well, here is a Strixhaven, or some kind of college where you could learn magical arts, or martial arts, to the other side of the coin. It could be really interesting to have that kind of element put back into the game, to be able to like, no, you can't level up until this has been met. And if you're broke or if you're not interested, like, all right, the challenges are going to get harder, but your level's not going up if you don't go do this thing.
Yeah. Chris says D&D semester at sea. Mash up Strix Haven and Ghost of Saltmarsh.
Well, there's a bit of bad blood between me and Ghost of Saltmarsh. I don't think I would run these guys through that.
Oh no! What would happen to you? And where did the Ghost of Saltmarsh touch you, Ted, on the dial?
It touched me in the feels in the wrong way. No, I mean, we did Ghost of Saltmarsh with the Dawnbringers. I believe that was season 3, and like everything about it would just fell the wrong way for our party, and it was just like, no, fuck all you people. I don't care about you anymore. Like, they wanted to place all the blame on us, despite everything we were doing to try and help them, save them, and it was just bad news. And like, my character couldn't get out of there fast enough. And being a paladin of Moradin is not easy when everybody just is like, nope, you're not from here, you're no good, get out.
Fraginator says blame Jake.
Well, I mean, just to be fair, he is, part and parcel playing all of the NPCs. But, I don't want to get too deep into it, but it was a scenario where we had somebody do a guest appearance early in the season.
Uh,
So we wound up coming into Saltmarsh later than we had initially planned. We didn't arrive on the boat that we had initially planned to do so, and that turned the cog, setting everything against us. And then it was, the boulder rolling down the hill of one thing after another, going against what we were trying to do. So I'm like, oh god.
so was that your least favorite season?
Oh, I enjoyed I enjoyed playing the game, but the actual contents of what we went up against, my character was definitely not fond of. And then we fought that, like, very near the end, we fought that thing that, like, it possesses people. I don't remember. Is it actually in that book? Might have been in
You have to
one of
consult the
the.
Oracle. While Ted's
Um,
looking that up, since we mentioned Strix Haven, I mean, you've probably seen in the books that I mean, not in the books, in the videos that we put out previously, and you will see the ones coming out. Probably not this week, but the following week we'll start putting out our Strix Haven videos, and we both have a couple copies here, so I think we got like 3 copies to give away. They go on the giveaway pile. So if you happen to be a Patreon supporter, if you join the newsletter, if you go to the website and you can mail in a form, there's different ways for you to, take part in our giveaways.
all right, well, I'm not seeing it here, and I'm
Doesn't
certain.
exist. It's not a real monster.
Oh, it absolutely is, because I've seen the stat block and I looked it up after the game was over. But it was a scenario where, like, we're at like a dinner where we're supposed to just be kind of relaxing, and like, I go off on my own because I'm still steaming, and like, next thing you know, I'm like fighting someone who's important to me, and I kind of get possessed and like come in and fight things. And it was just, it was the final straw, and I'm like, ah. I don't want anyone running back to Jake and like, Ted didn't like season 3, because it wasn't. It was more like my character basically said "F you all" to Saltmarsh, and would not would not go back there.
Does not recommend.
Does not recommend.
Gotcha.
Uh, but it's absolutely a great season. That's where we met Drow, who's our nice little warlock of the deeps that was supposed to just be a one shot, and he was a one off. He was going to be just a guest to try out this warlock subclass that was in Unearthed Arcana at the time. And we had so much fun with Dan being there that we quickly invited him back, and He's been a regular ever since.
So you're currently running a game called Untraditionally Arcane,
Yes.
and they're all playing wizards. I guess like the premises when they started, they were the apprentices, right?
Yeah, so they showed up. I mean, by apprentice, I think they were fourth level.
Yeah,
Um,
they're
when they
slow
came in,
learners.
they came in with their masters,
They
which
ride the short broom to Wizard College.
which I looked at as to be like, okay, so maybe they're somewhere like 8th to 11th level. I didn't stat them out, as I never really expected there to be any kind of combat between the mentors and the students. But it was a scenario where we've been doing the all class party videos for a while, and it's kind of been like, this is something that I think could be a lot of fun. And realistically, I think the hardest thing to do would be to run an all wizards game or an all sorcerers game, because they're going to have the lowest hit dice, the lowest hit points. But you could still cover a lot of ground. The only issue would be healing. So I'm like, all right, well, we'll see how we kind of cross that bridge. But we've got intelligent characters, so hopefully that covers a lot of ground, because I've definitely run games where players are like universally dumping intelligence,
Yeah.
and those can be quite chaotic. So I was figured, this could be a nice, turn from that. And so far, it's been a lot of fun. All of the characters, beyond being all wizards, none of them were allowed to be any of the 8 core, uh, subclasses. Not any of the traditional wizards, which is why the game's being called Untraditionally Arcane. Uh, but they got to work their way up. I think they're 6th level now. They've done some planar hopping and had some fun in the beard dimension last session. So I was definitely
As you do.
quite a blast.
So maybe you need to go back and do the prequel at some point
and do what?
and
Figure out
have
how
them,
they got there.
have them all in school together,
Well,
or maybe at least a wizard like summer camp or something. Because like I know they're like all different traditions, so they might have like not known each other and stuff like that. But still,
that could be interesting.
uh-huh. Do levels
maybe
1 through 4.
do a one-off at a wizard summer camp. I think I
Yeah.
might be able to swing that at some point.
Do you have any desire to play that type of game now that we have Strix Haven in hand? Would you want to play a wizard in college?
I think it could be interesting. I know that there is enough things that could be done if you were willing to kind of bend the rules. Like, I know that initially Harry Potter was this, huge thing, mega success. But like, if you really dive into it deeply, it's like, well, how the fuck are these students doing all this stuff? How are the teachers letting all of this happen? Aren't there like rules that are supposed to stop this kind of stuff? Between the teenagers running to go snog off in a closet, or looking to oh look, we're learning deadly curses that you can use to kill or torture, and it's in school, so it's okay, right? I'm like, oh my god. And then the different rules and punishments that that have happened throughout the whole series. It's like a mega clash. So like, it would really require a good solid session 0 that really sells what that's going to look like, and make sure that, number one, everybody is completely bought in on the concept, and the DM has kind of done their homework for what this is really going to look like. Because it's going to have to be like, I would think, a cross between some kind of like Hunger Games level of challenge with a like mentor who's super powerful, but it doesn't matter the outcome, because maybe there's a like a X-Men Danger Room, safety setting, or was it Star Trek in the holodeck? Like, you can set to what level of lethality you're allowed. Of like, okay, well, for this particular exercise, we just want to see what you can do. There is no death saves. If anything drops you, you're automatically at 0 and stabilized. Like, I think those kind of elements could be really cool. And maybe once you get to a certain level, like you then go into the, oh crap, that safety setting, that net at the bottom, that's been removed. So I think like with that kind of thing, I'd be in. But and that early on, it's just too easy to die as a caster if you're going up against things that are crazy.
Well, I mean, like it would be silly to try and challenge the players from a game like that, like you would a traditional D&D game. Like in some ways, it doesn't even make sense. Why would they be dungeon crawling? Why would they be doing the things like you? I would think like their adventures would be around like research and uncovering lost lore, which I mean, sure, that can lead to some some traditional style adventures, but I would think they'd also be kind of like prepped for it a little bit more. So like you figure everyone's like a thinker and a little more heady, so and then obviously a good GM can always like play it down to what they do, but you could make it more of an investigation than an exploration than having to worry about doing combats.
Sure. Brian says, an academy that failed would be a cool setting for a ruin or a dungeon. I think that could be a lot of fun, because you could have all kinds of interesting things that moved in either through the windows or through the ruins of the wall. But then like you turn around and it's like, oh look, here's the library and here's the gymnasium. And
I like Chris's idea.
The 21 Jump Street.
Yeah. To go in there and bust up the criminal element in Strixhaven. These kids are getting out of control. Freaking you're all playing narcs.
Well, I mean, there's so many different ways to go ahead and look at that. I mean, you could have, just as easily as a magical academy, you could have a martial academy as well. What if you ran, whether it be a 3-shot or a mini campaign that's totally off of, the way Spartans raise their kids. Like, okay, you first thing you have to do is you have to go and successfully, do your trial. What are you going to bring back, to show that you've been successful? And then you start your legit training. So are you level 1? Are you just a commoner? Like, when you're going after, whether it be a wolf or a tiger or, whatever have. But I think that could be a lot of fun to go from just a pure martial aspect. Because then you don't have to worry about any kind of, magical levels and that kind of stuff. It's pure, it's all going to be skill, baby.
Yeah. I confess, like I have no desire to play a school-based game.
Sure.
But I'm not here to yuck anyone else's yum. Go for it.
Although Park's saved by the counter spell.
Yeah. Be, I also don't think there would be a lot of appetite in our group.
I don't think so.
That we play. Maybe the Philly group, but I would think maybe that would be the only one that I would think would be kind of interesting at all, if I had to guess. But I don't think we have a huge appetite for that.
I would think that the last Saturday of the month group would probably be the most inclined to go down that route.
I'm not going to float it because I don't want to start anything. I don't want to be involved with.
Like I said, I'm down for a lot of different things, but it's not something that I'm champing at the bit to be like, yeah, let's go ahead and put that on the roster. There's so many other things that are out there. With that last of the month group, that's our usually not D&D party.
Yeah.
So I gotta eventually get my copy of Shadow of the Demon Lord so I know what that game's about.
Yeah, I'll figure it out as we go. Yeah. I mean, although for that, with that being the non D&D group, there are a lot of like kids on brooms, kids on bikes,
Right,
Tales from the Loop. There seems to be no shortage of games where you play little kids in them
right.
at this point, and that they're just the more popular ones I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there is a bunch more.
Isn't there a game called like Hero Academy?
Uh, yeah, there is a Hero Cat. I don't. There's Hero. I don't know if I'm confusing it because there's also Hero Kids, but that's also just like D&D for like kids. I
Yeah,
think.
I actually think I have the Hero Kids here somewhere, but I could be wrong, but I was pretty sure I've heard that name before. Um,
Hero, yeah. Well, maybe someone in the comments. Sounds like an anime, to be honest with you.
it could very well be. My son has started getting into pretty heavily into the anime. He's dove pretty deep through several different series by now, but he's 13 and he lives in his room. So despite there being rules of screen time, I'm pretty sure he's watching more screens than he's supposed to.
Probably.
Uh,
That would be a good guess. So we have some things to announce, right?
all right, so I've got quite a lot on my list here. So usually I don't start this till like the middle at 8:30, but I'm going to do it anyway. All right, so with
It's
this
like
with
eight
this
twenty
being
seven.
yeah, well, it's a few minutes early, but it's still early. With this being the first Monday of the month, we have the giveaway to announce, as well as the players selected for the fan game. So for the giveaway, I have got a copy of Fizban's Treasury of Dragons and the Wild Beyond the Witchlight, both with the regular edition copy, and these are going out to Matt Moore. Email has already been sent. Just waiting for that reply to get an address to send that out your way. We usually do the fan game the last Sunday of the month. I'm going to do 1 p.m. On the 26th. And the players that I've already emailed, I've got Ed Harris, Lord of Waffles, David Libby, Matthew Stolfelson, Dylan Breeden, Daniel Gazer, Caleb Scruggs, Ryu, Charles Jones, and Jason Guerin. And I am greatly apologize if I have mispronounced your name. It is not in any intention of trying to insult. It is just me being horrible at different things. So, all right, that's that part of the announcement. I've got some things that I am adding onto the giveaway shelf. This is a what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the flat plastic minis by WizKids. So you've got the player character pack, the sidekick pack, monster pack 1, monster pack 2, set 1, the frost giant skeleton, the frost giant. You guys, you can enjoy these awesome 2-dimensional minis. They're the sturdy hard plastic acrylic. They are double-sided, so you do see front and back. They're definitely a lot of fun. So the last thing I've got on my agenda is Dave and I are going to PAX Unplugged this weekend. If you happen to, want to be out in the Philly area, I've got our Nerdarchy stickers, and I've got 7 of our Nerdarchy dice left that actually have the Nerdarchy N, and I don't know how well, there we go. That's going to show. So the first 7 people that snag me are going to be able to get a D6 and a sticker. So come look for us. Come have some fun at a awesome convention that's right around the corner.
Yeah, so that's coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Now, right now, I don't know whether I will be there Sunday, but guaranteed I will be there Saturday. I will be there Friday.
Yeah, I'll be there though. So
Yeah,
I will be equipped with stickers as well. I can't imagine the dice lasting until Sunday.
that is true. So I'm going to share this as well. Last Christmas, I got this very cool leather bound actual parchment book, And I'm like, it's really cool. What am I going to do with it? And I sat on it for a while. So this is still completely unused. And I got an idea. So often we've run into people at conventions and they've asked us to sign a book. And most of the time it's, sign my player's handbook or my DMG or some other thing. They just want a Nerdarchy autograph. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to carry this book around. And if somebody asks me to, get a sticker or a die or whatever have you, and you want to write your name or, some kind of small message in my book. So this is going to be my memoir of traveling to conventions. I can give you something to write in so that, I've got something to take away. And hopefully this will allow me to kind of remember the people I've met a little bit better than just, hey, well, here's a quick picture or what have you. So you can be on the lookout for that as well in my nice mimic bag that he travels in.
Super cool idea.
So it's a way for me to use a cool book a cool way rather than it's just like, all right, well, if I use it for a campaign notes, it's good, for one campaign, and then that's it. I'm like, now what? This I think would be a cool thing. And if it winds up filling up, well, then I get a second one, and I keep the tradition going.
Nice. When did the inspiration hit?
So I got it last Christmas, and it took a while. Obviously that was.
Well, this will be the maiden voyage, right?
This will absolutely be the maiden voyage. Right now, it is completely uninked. So it's going to be. We'll see. How many signatures I get this weekend. Hopefully it's a decent amount, but hopefully somebody's interested in writing some kind of thing of either a cool how they found Nerdarchy or what Nerdarchy is meant. We've gotten a lot of awesome emails from people about how we've changed their lives or saved their lives, and I'm not expecting anything to that kind of level, but something cool of whatever. And this way I've got the message that's there to say, hey, it's written in my book and immortalized with the rest of my con stuff.
Nice. I look forward to seeing you fill that up.
Yeah, that will absolutely be a blast. I know I'm definitely going to be taking it with me to D&D in a Castle next September. I've already had one conversation with one of the players in my table who's actually returning from last time. So he enjoyed it enough to be like, hey, I'm definitely signing up for your table again. So that'll be cool.
Awesome.
Mark says you all do help the world suck a little less.
We
what
try.
I aim for. Can
I get that put on my tombstone? Can I get that put on my tombstone? I help the world suck a little bit less.
Yeah.
What more could one ask for?
I mean, it's not much. I mean, with as sucky as the world is, to have it suck less because of us, hey, yeah. I'm down for it.
Nice.
So with PAX Unplugged, is there any classes you planning on taking there? Anything that's going on?
I have not even looked, man. My wife keeps asking because she's going with me, and she's like, "What's the plan?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just gonna figure it out as I go."
Go and see what happens. Yeah, I have a couple people that I'm planning to talk to. I know there's some people that I typically only see at cons, so I wonder how many of them are going to be there. But my plan is to go have fun and walk around. I'm not usually one that signs up for panels. I never sign up for games unless it's something that's arranged ahead of time, usually not with like with the convention itself, or totally just like a pickup game that happens.
Yeah.
So
I've only been to I've played in like 2 actual games that were like con games.
Okay.
Like one Adventure League game and one living campaign for some world that I know nothing about.
You didn't break that game, did you?
That's the one where apparently we did, like, our table did something we weren't supposed to, that if was going to have long lasting repercussions. But like toddlers, we kicked over the sandcastle and kept going.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So, but other than that, like, most of my games are pickup games, or or uh like a panel game, or where we're doing a panel and it's a game or whatever, or there's been a couple times where they're like, hey, I need a player for this show. Do you want to be in this thing?
Right.
So that's happened. I've run pickup games at conventions.
Right.
Where you just see some friends that you only get to see on the internet. So you're like, hey, we're all here. Let's play some D&D. Why not?
Yeah, I mean that's where technically that's where those bastards originated. Was a pickup game at the Cleveland Concoction.
Yeah, we can script it.
We're
We can
basically
script it
forced
Robin to
to
run a game for us.
and that still is one of my one of my favorite games. Uh, the camaraderie of all of us being half brothers, it's just freaking badass. And
And half sisters.
sorry, half siblings. My
Yeah,
apologies.
we had a sister in there.
Yes.
How could you forget?
Well,
Clearly, you're
my
not the favorite.
my brain originated it back to the original concept, and
Yeah.
I didn't I didn't include Steven's characters. Steven, please don't incinerate me.
Incinerate him. Yeah. So Thursday, I'm actually gonna go over Thursday. I don't know what time yet. I got to figure that part out.
Okay.
But I'm going over Thursday to get my goblin tattoo finished. Get the logo behind the goblin, and then I'm getting a tattoo on the inside of my bicep. Big flaming, screaming D20.
So we're gonna have to find somebody to get drunk and to keep slapping your arm. Okay. Can we get that? Can we get that accomplished?
Maybe. I think
that was my experience.
Yeah.
I got mine done.
Well, they're fresh tattoos are a magnet for that. But I mean, you're kind of lucky. Like when I first started getting tattoos, and I was younger, like those people were a-holes that I'd hang out with. I include myself in that, and they'd be like, "You know what that tattoo needs? It needs some red." Pow!
Well, Brian wasn't quite like that, but it was like just repeatedly he just come up and slap my shoulder. He was a couple under at that point in time, so it's not like it was done with intent. But,
who was it?
Brian Foster. We were hanging out with some of the people from Critical Role at the bar, the wee hours.
You just wanted to make sure you remembered him, man. He wanted to make it a memorable experience for you.
Sure, we'll go with that. He cared enough about me that he wanted our first meeting to be memorable. Sure.
So Zargon wants to know, Ted, what class would Relion most likely teach, and its language? If its language is LOL, what language?
So I would say he's got expertise in Arcana. So that would probably be the direction that he would go. You actually nailed the spelling right on, so good job.
That's what Ted thinks his character is going to teach, but he took some twists and turns towards the end of that campaign, and whatever he taught, it would have dark speech interwoven into it.
That's fine. Well, we never got to finish that campaign and actually allow him to get cured of such issues.
You don't cure Cthulhu.
When you're a 20th level cleric, you can just be like, divine intervention, right?
You can, but only I feel like you have to know there's a problem.
I think he's aware.
To address the problem.
I think the last several sessions, like, he's aware that there's something going on. I mean, he's got a freaking 20 wisdom. He does,
but he also failed his saving throws. So
yeah.
So the power of Cthulhu compels you.
Maybe you get there. Maybe we'll do the rescue of Rylor, and truth be told, Relion moved into Rylor,
into the center,
and he can be the big bad of the game. There's a little bit of food for thought for you.
There you go. That could be fun. Once I properly mind flayer him.
Well, sure, whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
I'll keep my version in my head of him, saving Bloodfang, destroying, helping to destroy the rest of the Vargarian onslaught. Everybody retires back to Griffin Gaff, and he goes on his journey and gets Quinthel to heal whatever has possessed him because he was foolish enough to say the wrong thing at the wrong time and be obsessed with languages, and this thing was willing to teach him yet another one.
Sargon's funny. It's like, I'm hearing you're resurrecting Chimes of Discordia alongside a 5-year anniversary miniseries of the Scarlet Sisterhood. I mean, technically, we haven't stopped playing Chimes of Discordia. We just don't stream it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, some of the games like might not be taking place in Chimes of Discordia. I don't know whether your Dragon Veil is in there or not.
It is. That is part of the lore. Like, so in our world, when we started the campaign, there technically weren't any dragons, and they've been slowly introduced back into the world. But the concept of the vow was it was hidden away from the thing that removed all the other dragons. And and that's why the vow is closed. Yeah, so it is. In my mind, it was part of the rest of it.
Yeah, I've tended to keep everything, still within that world. Heck, when I did the Curse of Zoltan, you guys were based out of, was it Himrick or Hoggleford? I always get those two mixed up in my head.
Himrick, I think it was Himrick.
You guys all just decided to call it Hydra, which is even more confusing for me since Hydra is my nephew's character name in the kids game, and Hydra, of course, stands for something. His little crazy gnome that's spelled out. His ridiculous gnomish name, which nobody's going to say or even remember, but it means something.
I'm sure he remembers.
Oh, he knows, but it's also written down, and I've never done the proper thing and written it down myself. But then the Zoltan game led to repercussions, so that's still in the same world as well, allowing me to explore other locations, throughout our vast world.
Zargon says those games need to be made into graphic novel series, gentlemen. You're too kind, Zargon. You're too kind.
Yeah, we have some fun times and things. I don't know whether we're
graphic novel worthy.
Graphic novel worthy, but
maybe lucky.
What about Jack Strandon?
Jack Strandon. Which character was that? That was not this one. That was the last one.
That was Kurt's character from campaign 2.
Yeah.
It was the
what? He was like a Genasi Drow.
He was a Genasi Drow because he was the
it was a half dark elf. Was that what he was? The actual race?
Yeah. It was a half elf, but he was basically half Genasi and half elf. Because Obsid Strandon was a character from the initial Curse of Narcitus game that Scott's character sent to the Beneath to Jack's world, or maybe Jack sent him there. I forget which.
No, he got imprisoned. He was put in prison because he committed a crime, or maybe like there was some kind of like hate crimes going on. He was like part of it somehow, and Lucky was like, "You don't need to be in prison here. I've got a better idea."
So he sent him down to the Drow, where apparently one of Lucky's sisters, shall we say, eventually
like to get dirty,
like to have went and had a child with, and Jack Strandon, came of it. Which, considering all of the love for the Incredibles, we so often called him Jack Jack, and it just made him upset.
Yeah. Zargon, dude, the Eyeless Seer, McKenna Hollythorn, Mayor Helmsworth. I mean, honestly, like the Eyeless Seer should probably come back at some point as a villain.
I could totally do it. And sorry, Zargon, I gotta call you out. It's Hemsworth because it's not worthy unless it's Hemsworthy. There's no L. It's not a helm. It's a hem because he sewed. He was a tailor.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's got Thor in his brain. I think I always wanted to add the L as well.
Everybody did.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we got corrected quite often.
Oh, every single time.
Yeah. Even the games I plan on pitching, even the Under the Dome one, I figured would be in Chimes of Discordia, but in the future.
Yeah, I mean, every the three things that you've kind of tossed out there is you've got a post-apocalyptic, you've got a under the sea, a full aquatic style game,
yeah,
and you've got a rescue of Rylor. Like each of those is very compelling to me, so it doesn't matter which of those we go with.
There's also a Griffin Gaff game too.
Well, I think those were the three that were pitched and people gravitated towards.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to discount the other one because there's good in all of them, but every single one of them, I feel like requires a different type of character. Like I can't just make one and be like, all right, this is what I want to play, and it fits in all of the different holes. It doesn't work. They're all different shapes.
Yeah. I think a couple of them I feel like are going to be pretty trying for me. The underwater one I think is going to be hard, but I'll figure it out. And the post-apocalyptic one is going to be hard, but I'll figure it out.
I have complete and utter faith in you to be able to handle either of them. I'm interested to see what you do vehicle wise with the post-apocalyptic stuff. Whether that's something that vehicles are a problem, but does it also mean that we might be able to acquire them, or
I'll probably start you guys off with vehicles.
So that was the other thing.
I mean, I don't know how long they'll last, because I'm definitely going to want to do vehicle to vehicle combat, but and I don't know that they'll be like super easy to fix either. So
right.
But why not? I wonder if there's any like DM's Guild product that expands on those.
If only there was a way to search these things.
If only. I'm gonna have to look into that. If we go with that game,
I would imagine there is probably vehicle rules or vehicle, products in the plural on the DM's Guild. It only makes the most sense to me.
Maybe I'll start you. You guys will all start off with Devil Rides. I think that's what the motorcycles are called.
Yeah, the Devil's Ride.
Yeah. Take it from there. I mean, it'd be cool to introduce magic items that are actually vehicles too. That might be fun to do. I mean, it could literally turn someone into the Ghost Rider.
Yeah. I mean, that's the perfect thing to be like, okay, can I play a warlock? Can you do this whole thing?
Oh yeah. I think at this point I think Ghost Rider might be a Hexblade.
Hexblade.
You can either Fiendish or Hexblade. It's hard to say. Depends on which version too, like the Johnny Blaze or the Dan Ketch.
Sure. I mean, you can go Hexblade, or you go, Fiend Pack, and then do, Pact of the Blade. I think either of them would.
Yeah, but Pact of the Blade is pretty lame.
It does get you the extra attack.
It does get you an extra attack, but also,
and it would allow you to fight with a chain.
It would allow you to fight with a chain. Well, I don't know. I think you're automatically proficient with the pack weapon, right?
Yeah, whatever you make your pack weapon, you're proficient with.
Yeah, so it would do that. But as you quickly found out, Because we unfortunately that game died, but we used to play an annual game, which I think some of them, I think they might even be up on the channel for Thanksgiving Eve,
Yep.
where we did a couple years in a row where we did a Spelljammer ish type game, and I don't know if I ran it for 2 years or three,
Three.
and then you ran it for one.
Yep.
And like you started off playing a warlock, and you went pack of the blade, and by the time we were getting to by the time we had the second session, you're like, this is not very useful anymore. Like I can hit it with a stick, or I can use one of these spells I have.
Right. it's a thing. It's there. I mean, other characters, other players have enjoyed it and whatnot, but for me, nah.
It does get better with the hexblade, right? Because one, like you said, it's how you get extra attack and thirsting blade. But also, I think having the pact of the blade expands your hexblade options, so that you can use weapons that wouldn't normally be available to you. So that is one of the differences too. And then like the hexblade is one of the better warlock packs. So, and you get to beat things with your face.
And you can beat things with how pretty you are.
Yeah. So Parks is a group of paladins riding the Hell Rides. Call them Hell's Angels. Do they all have to be Azamars though? I mean, I don't know if they'll do that, but I kind of want to use it against them now.
A group of paladins on Hell's Rides.
Well, they don't have to be paladins, but either Azamars or some celestial being that's been caught out in the chaos waste and corrupted.
So you could do a paladin, you could do a cleric, you could do an Aasimar of whatever, you could do a divine soul sorcerer. That's a party of 4 right there.
Yeah. I don't think we don't have any holy options for fighter.
Nope.
Or
no, you only have divine for paladin, cleric, and sorcerer.
Warlock too.
Do you have
isn't there a celestial warlock?
Is there a celestial warlock?
I believe so. So I feel like the other classes need those subclasses now. The completionist in me wants that.
All right. So what does the celestial fighter look like? I didn't say warlock spells.
A paladin. So.
Yes, there is a celestial warlock. You are correct, sir.
Yeah, I thought there was. I think that's the problem. Like the martial classes. I mean, although like an inquisitor style rogue would be kind of cool that works for the church. Which we haven't seen. Like maybe I like we've seen in previous editions.
Right.
So I mean, I feel like it would kind of be a little bit like the arcane trickster, but instead of arcane magic, it would be divine magic. And less about being thiefy and more about something else. Rooting out the truth or whatever. I mean, because I think we have an Inquisitor, which isn't all that great of the rogue subclasses. At least I think that's like one of my least favorite ones.
Right.
At least like Mastermind. At least on Mastermind, you get to use that bonus action help, which is pretty nice, and that ranged as well. Park says a Crusader for a Divine Fighter. And obviously Wizard, they really want to stay away from that. But I think you could definitely do some kind of monk. Would work. So you need the rogue, you need the monk. Ranger's already a little divine, so I don't think that would be too much of a stretch to wander
What
into
about
the
Bard?
celestial territory.
What about Bard?
Oh yeah, a divinely inspired bard. I
and
mean,
then, and now a tricky one for you. What about Barbarian?
well, no, we got the zealot, man. We kind of have the barbarian. I think the zealot fills that role. Maybe not in the way you're looking for, but I mean, I think it's the zealot.
Some deities inspire their followers to pitch themselves into a ferocious battle fury. These barbarians are zealot warriors who channel their rage into powerful displays of divine power. Yeah, I'm thinking that absolutely needs to go over here on that list.
So that's a
So
6-person party, huh?
that's yeah.
Are you for? Are you? Did you just start a workshop for another video?
It's possible.
Yeah. The divine party, the holy rollers. They're like, well, this was going to be a motorcycle gang in D&D. No, trust me, it totally works. I know I said D&D, a motorcycle gang, but it's fine. But instead, I mean, why not? We've done the mounted party. We've got the short rest party that we haven't put out yet, but we've shot that one. Why not? Why not the divine party? So you guys are getting the first glimpse. Oh, and there is just enough.
Sometimes things happen that uh you see it live, and the wheels begin a turning. So
I mean, it would be a pretty strong party too.
yeah.
I mean, you got barbarian, you got paladin, you got cleric, you got sorcerer.
If you got a divine soul sorcerer, a cleric, and a paladin, that's three pretty competent healers. A barbarian, a paladin, and a warlock. You can do some pretty heavy damage there. But you're adding a sorcerer into the mix as well. Yeah, it's pretty beefy. And then you can literally splash whatever you want because you toss Azamar on top of whatever.
Yeah. So you got it pretty much covered. You get your boom from the sorcerer.
Yep.
You won't get as many maybe control effects. And also, you won't really be able to lean into the divine part of your sorcerer if you want to like cover the other roles.
True.
I mean, you only need so much healing at a certain point.
Yeah. When your barbarian and your paladin are crushing it.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. That you may face Hell's Angels at some point. You can thank Parks for that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm here for it.
Oh, nice. Parks, monks on hell rides in the desert, biker monks from Maholrand. Was that the Arabian setting? Or is that a Forgotten Realms place? It looks familiar. I think it might be a Forgotten Realms place. It seems familiar, but I don't think I read any novels that were situated there. So we didn't even talk about. We also had our. It is Forgotten Realms.
Well, you got it before I could.
We also had our Christmas party.
Yeah,
I don't know what you want to call it.
Basically a holiday get together. I did not know what all of my friends' particular faiths were, so I was not trying to lump it into anything in particular. But since we're not having our typical Saturday gaming groups, I wanted to have a chance to have everybody kind of get together. I invited everybody over to my place. And I'm inviting some other people as well that weren't able to make it. But it was a chance for us to have some fun, play some board games, not have as much of the pressure of having to, perform at the table with the usual RPG-ness. But a bunch of games broke out. Everybody seemed to have some fun. We got plenty of food. So grand time was had by all.
Yeah, it was definitely cool. Got to play some Quarriors. Always down for that. Some Dungeon Mayhem is always a good time.
Yeah, I mean, Dungeon Mayhem's always popular. It moves quickly. I tried out a new game, which no offense to your brother, but if I would have realized that had a set 70-minute playtime, I might have been like, yeah, I'm gonna pass.
Yeah,
Uh,
I,
I, I was
yeah.
looking.
I saw that, and I was like, oh, I'm glad I'm not playing that.
I
It's
was I
I
was
don't like
halfway.
resource management games like that. Be
I
honest
was
with
half.
you.
I was halfway through the instructions or the explanations when I looked at the box and realized what the expected playtime was, and I'm like, oh my. Well, I'm into this
To
now.
me, it looked like playing like Catan or something, and like I have no interest in that either.
Katana's fun, and part of that gets to be because of the ridiculous jokes that are made.
Uh,
Uh, the national parks thing is a cool game if you're totally aware of all of it and you want to like kind of get into the cool facts about each of the parks.
Come on,
Um,
man, you're an Eagle Scout. That should be right up your alley.
yeah, but I wasn't in that mindset at the time. I was like, I want to play quick 20-minute games so I can move on to the next thing and possibly shift to different groups of people. But
Uh,
I was locked into that for like a good solid hour and a half.
you're
Uh,
trapped.
it was fine what it was. And then your son's like, "Hey, can I talk to you about Magic the Gathering?" And I'm like, "I'm in the middle of a game here, dude."
Yeah, bastard. Well, it is 2 minutes past.
All right, so I guess we should let everybody know that we will not be back tomorrow night with the Ashes of Ardor.
Yeah, two of our members are not available, so that makes it hard. Well,
So
three of our
Jeremy,
members are actually not available.
yeah, I think it's just you and I
Robin is done until sometime next year. They haven't told us if we can talk about that, so I'm not going to say why.
Yep, that's fine. We
It's
can keep
nothing like Robin is good. There's nothing like wrong or anything. Just like, but it is a personal thing that I don't feel like I should be the one to break the news to the community.
sure, yeah.
Maybe we should ask.
But we do have the live chat that you've got scheduled for the rest of the week.
So there's a live chat tomorrow, and that's basically it.
Oh man,
I took off Thursday for tattoos and Friday for PAX, and then Wednesday is filming.
Sure. All right, so you can.
It's a
join
light
me
week
tomorrow for the live chat. Um,
but next week we'll be back in full swing.
You can pay attention to the newsletter, pay attention to your email, because if I called your name tonight, please respond about the game if you can make it or not. If you won the giveaway, please get me your address so I can be able to send it out your way. But that's how it rolls.
Park says live stream getting the tattoo. I'm thinking about doing some TikToks when I get the tattoo. I don't know.
But if you're coming to PAX, please look out for Dave and myself. I wear the Nerdarchy symbol emblazoned upon my chest with my Nerdarchy armor, so I'm pretty easy to spot. But that's how it goes.
I will be unarmored, so if you're gonna attack one of us, I guess you're better off attacking me. Ted is armored up. But with that, until next time, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.